And so I was telling my wife, I think I want to learn how to code. And so she's like, well, I took a computer programming class in school, and she hands me this 4-inch thick book. A 4-inch thick book on Java, the programming language Java. She puts that in my lap and says, basically have at it.
Hey man, how's it going?
Hey Sean, what's going on, man? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Doing good, brother. Doing good, man.
Awesome.
And hello, everybody. And welcome to a brand new episode of As Is To Be. I'm your co-host, Sean Achipong, Digital Transformation Specialist.
And I'm Carl Reed. I go by Creed, and I'm a digital transformation specialist as well.
Right on. Today we have a super special guest. I'd like to introduce you to Dion D. Lewis, coming to us all the way from the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois. Dion is a self-taught full-stack web developer and founder of Code Pioneers. Personally, I've been a longtime subscriber and a fan of his YouTube channel. It's been awesome. I mean, I've learned a bunch of insights regarding developer tools, platform installations, and even a mind shift through a career transition. It's been really, really high value stuff. I've been loving it. We are super pumped and happy to have you here today. So welcome, Dion.
Hey, thank you. Really appreciate being here with you guys. Definitely going to enjoy this.
Yeah, me too, Dion. I'm happy you're on the show. Listen, I've been listening to you for a while. You got me through the 2020 COVID pandemic. I've been following your channel. I listen to your tunes. We talked about off camera, but I like your the midnight one. I think that's my favorite one. It's just a nice chill beat that I listen to. And what you probably don't know is I work in half hour and a half stints. So your live stream as well as your recorded songs is perfect. So when it ends, I'm like, okay, good, break, go on to something new. So again, glad to have you on the show, man.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem. And so I mentioned, I've been following you. You have an interesting beginning. Can you just tell me your journey? Tell us a little about yourself, and feel free to share anything. And hint, I love your trailer. So if you want to unpack that even further, I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah. Just like the trailer on the channel says, born and raised on the south side of Chicago, and pretty much like, they call it a ghetto within a ghetto is what they call it. So not the best of neighborhoods, as a matter of fact. It's interesting that I'm even in the computer field now because, in elementary school, there was only one computer in that school. And you actually had to be a disadvantaged kid as far as like having some type of learning disability to use this computer. And outside of that, it was off limits. So definitely I'm coming from a place where it really wasn't meant for me to be in the computer field at all. Just the way it was set up. And, the Chicago public school system at the time was really not set up for you to get into the field of computers. So it's just interesting that I look today and here I am, like you said, a full stack web developer. But yeah, that's what happens when you just have a passion to do something. I just think about, I just wanted to be involved in computers. And, at the time that I got into the field, AT&T was kind of like what Google is now, where everybody wants to work at Google. And so that's what AT&T was to me at the time.
Right.
The internet is booming, and I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to harass every recruiter until I get into this company, and the harassment tactics worked.
Awesome.
And I finally got in as a telecommunications technician with AT&T.
Wow, that's amazing.
Was there a catalyst to start web development and pursue this journey through Code Pioneers?
Yeah, you know what? Around 2015, So I was part of this employee research group or resource group. That's what it's called, an employee resource group at AT&T, where you set aside some time each month to do some volunteer work. And so one of the days we were volunteering at the University of Chicago to help high school students develop an interest in computer science. And basically we were just helping them build this cool app on their phone. And so we had a ton of fun that day. And so at that point, I'm like, man, this is interesting. Up to this point, I've always been on the hardware side of computers, but this software side is kind of fun. And so I was telling my wife, I think I want to learn how to code and learn a programming language. And so she had gone to school for computer networking. That's what her degree is in. And so she's like, well, I took a computer programming class in school, and she hands me this 4-inch thick book. A 4-inch thick book on Java, the programming language Java. She puts that in my lap and says, basically have at it. If you're interested in this, I'll support you, but this is what you're dealing with.
So she threw the gauntlet down.
Yeah. So I look at this book and I'm like, okay, maybe, this doesn't look like all the fun I had at the University of Chicago. So I set it to the side for a few months. But what's interesting about like late 2015, early 2016, Randall Stevenson, he's the CEO of AT&T at the time. And now he's got this whole focus of this digital transformation that he sees in the industry.
Right.
And so he's saying, hey, every employee at AT&T needs to learn all of these new tech skills by the time 2020 hits. So by 2020, you all need to know how to develop software and some type of programming skills. Because I see something coming where everything is going to be based on streaming. And you're going to have to know about the cloud and all kinds of stuff for this new streaming industry. And what's interesting is this is 4 years before we even know that COVID-19 is coming.
Yeah.
And so
Good
that's
insight.
taking streaming to another level. And so when he came out and said that in the meeting with us, and then he said he set up a partnership with Udacity where we could all learn for free. I said, I have to take advantage of this. And so that's what, it was like all the arrows are pointing towards this direction. But here's another curveball that was thrown at me. So now I'm all 100% into this. I'm going to learn how to code. My wife's supporting me. Randall Stevenson said it's free. When I sign up for it, they say, well, your position in a company doesn't qualify for the free tuition.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
But I signed up already.
Oh no.
So I ended up, once I say I'm going to do something, I do it. So I said, you know what, regardless if AT&T is going to pay for this or not, I'm going to foot this bill on my own. I'll pay for it myself, learn the skills, because if he's saying something's coming in 2020, then I gotta go along with that. And so I spent my own money on the classes and learned how to code.
Wow. And I'm curious to know now your mantra that not everyone can code, but anyone can come from anywhere and code. How did you gain that? Is that over time and teaching yourself? And how did that transition into the YouTube channel, Code Pioneers, that you have right now?
Yeah, when people think of Chicago, they're not thinking about a black guy coding, right? They're not thinking about coding. And even before, like, certain things that's portrayed on the media regarding Chicago, a lot of that stereotype, goes back before even my grandmother was born, where you have, these gangsters that they make movies about, Al Capone, and then there's, Babyface Nelson. So
Yeah.
people don't look at Chicago and automatically think, hey, there's software engineers that live there. There's doctors there's teachers there. You know, they only think of the worst part of it, this stereotype. And so, you know, my thing was, well, you know, you can't take a stereotype and apply it to over 2.7 million people. You know, 2.7 million people are not committing crimes. And so, you know, just like that movie Ratatouille,
Yeah.
where they had a rat who's, you know, he comes from the gutter, but he's a great chef, you know. So the same principle applies. Like a professional can come from anywhere in the world, you know, regardless of what you think they should come from or what type of background they should have. And the reality is we see it every day. We're just not thinking about it. But, you know, I think about, you know, all the teachers that have influenced my life, you know, all the times I've gone to the doctor, all of these people are in Chicago. And so there's more to an area than what's portrayed in movies and what's on the media. And so that's kind of where I was going with that. Like, hey, here's another side that you maybe have not considered, but it's not just Chicago. You know, I think the same principle could apply to anybody wherever they're living on the planet. You know, whatever stereotype that exists in that locality, you know, you can get rid of all of that, because whatever a person decides to do and decides they want to be, they can do it.
I absolutely love that. And once you've achieved that, is there, like, what made you want to share and, I guess, give these tips? Because I've watched your channel, and I admit I made a video of me cross mapping to jazz. Okay, not anywhere close to how it looks on your channel, but you're sharing tips all the time. You're giving information. You know, what transitioned for you to start sharing yourself with others?
Well, definitely, I think the global pandemic was a wake-up call to a lot of people, because it's all impacted us in one way or another. There's no escape from it. You know, it's not one of those events where it's only targeted to, you know, one specific part of the world. You know, maybe a hurricane or maybe an earthquake. This is something that impacted the whole earth. And so, you know, when it came for us at work, where now as a developer, they sent all the developers home to work. And so I'm like, man, I have all this free time now. You know, what should I do with this? You know, when you get time back, you know, that's a power that you want to make sure you capitalize on. So this is not just, you know, free time for me to, you know, spend in recreation. What could I do positive with this? And my thoughts were, you know, okay, I made the decision to learn these skills that has kind of preserved me during this pandemic. You know, because, you know, if I was on the other side of technology, you know, would I still have a job? You know, what about all these restaurant workers and other places that are shut down? And, you know, maybe they want to use this time to learn. So what could I put out there to give people the motivation and inspire them to say, hey, I'm using my downtime to motivate you to use your downtime to learn some new skills, because we don't know really what's coming on the other side of this, but we know that whatever we did yesterday, we got to do something different tomorrow. And so that kind of was my mindset. You know, if I could share just one thing with one person that inspires them to move past whatever negative effects the pandemic has had on them, then I look at that as a success. And so that's kind of, you know, where Cold Pioneers came from. You know, it's like, I can't be, you know, selfish. And if I can make it from the south side of Chicago, I'm sure somebody with some type of circumstances worse, similar, or above mine can do it too.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Sean, you and I can relate to that, eh? Because it was it Sean that said, "Hey, Carl, how you been?" Well, it's COVID. Well, let's start a podcast.
Exactly.
Let's share, right? And I'm thankful that you did that. I'm thankful that you did that every day, Sean. That you said, "Hey, let's get this started."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And Dion, you touched on a lot of really good points. I mean, just the value of time, it's one of the most important things that we have, time, and the fact that we get it back, not taking that hour-long or 2-hour-long commute to work, but we can just be creative at home. And now with this extra time, what can we do with it? Equally, one of my favorite movies, and actually me and my family, one of our favorite movies is Ratatouille. And the whole concept of anyone can cook, it totally applies. And the ability to challenge and break norms and try something new, or doing something different tomorrow. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree, and I really value your input and insight on that.
Yeah, thank you.
So do you have any tips or tricks? I mean, like, I'm looking at your screen, it looks beautiful. Your mic sounds amazing. Right? You went from, teaching yourself how to code, how to program, making a YouTube video. If there's one or two or three even things that you want to share, is there anything that you would think that the audience could benefit from going through your journey?
Yeah, definitely. Well, first, in response to the mic and everything, so that's just me reinvesting it into what I put out there. So Code Pioneers, those videos bring in ad revenue, and I'm like right now I'm like, well, I'm still a developer. It's not like I'm living off of the YouTube revenue. So I just take it, whatever ad revenue and whatever brand deals come in from that, I just kind of put it back into the YouTube and Code Pioneers to just make a better feel for everybody, a better experience. As far as tactics that I use, matter of fact, there was a couple of books that I read. One was called Deep Work by Cal Newport. And there was just a lot of tips in there on like how to focus. Because in anything that you're going to try to accomplish that's extraordinary, you can't have a lot of distractions. So there was a lot of tips in there as far as, okay, how do you, especially the world we live in, I mean, there's distractions everywhere. You just holding your phone in your pocket, you got a million distractions in there. So that book was really good as far as blocking out time, because learning how to code was hard. That phrase that they made popular, learn how to code. And yeah, Steve Jobs made that popular, right? Because he came out and said, I think everybody should learn how to program because it teaches you how to think.
Yeah.
And so he kind of when that came out, he made it popular, like, hey, everybody just learn this. But it's not a skill that you can just, all right, I'm gonna spend a month or two and I'm gonna learn this, and now all of a sudden I'm a software engineer. There's a long process for your brain to retain that information, because your brain doesn't want to retain anything that it feels is useless. and you have to somehow convince your brain that, hey, this technology that I'm learning, I really am going to use this. I really do need this. Don't throw this out with the rest of the stuff in my subconscious, right? So Deep Work helped with that. And there was another book that I read. It was called Ultra Learning by Scott Young. He's this guy that he took like the whole MIT curriculum on his own and like passed all of the all the tests and everything. So he didn't attend the school or anything. He just took the courses. And in his book, he's talking about the techniques that he used to learn, years of information in a short amount of time. And some of the things that he had on how he was able to retain that information. Because I think I think that's the hardest part of learning anything. You know, you can read something or somebody can tell you something, but forcing the mind to hold that information there and put it to long-term memory is a problem. So those two books there was a really huge help for me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, especially once I can totally relate, like once learning development, the fundamentals and object-oriented, event-driven, what have you. Once you have the logic down, it just creates a ripple effect over your career and your ability to process and calculate and solve problems of different magnitudes. So couldn't agree more.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, what's interesting, after I finished the classes at Udacity, I still felt unqualified to go out and be a developer. And so I went back to work like normal. You know, I was still looking for like to make a move in technology away from AT&T, but I was not looking for a coding job because, you know, I'm still in that process of kind of understanding, hey, you can do this regardless of where you come from. And so it took me almost a good 6 months or almost a year to even start applying again. As a matter of fact, I think I finished their courses in the summer of 2016, and I didn't start applying for developer jobs until spring of 2017.
Wow.
So yeah, so
you had to overcome that doubt.
Yeah, I had to overcome that because there wasn't, you know, there was no Code Pioneers channel where, and that's kind of why I put the live stream out there, you know, so that at any time of day, somebody can go on there, you know, listen to some inspiring music and see somebody programming, right? I mean, he's programming 24/7. So it's kind of like, you know, just that loyal friend of motivation. And so kind of, you know, be a constant reminder that, hey, man, you know, if you're ever having a down day, like maybe I can't apply for this job, you know, because in technology, when you click on a job description, it's going to list every single technology that exists. And so that can be discouraging. And so that's kind of what led to the live stream, you know. If you have something that no matter what time of day it is, you know, midnight coding or early morning, late afternoon, you jump on there, you need some inspiration real quick. You're going to hear some inspiring music and you're going to see somebody just working away, working hard. You know, a lot of people, they come on there and they joke about the mug of coffee that the developer never drinks in the stream.
Yeah.
And you know, I've kind of left that open for interpretation on you know, why do you think he never takes a break to drink from that mug? So I won't go too far into that, but you know, that's basically what's behind it. You know, just motivation, because you know, I just wish I had something that would have narrowed that gap between, hey, I did what I was supposed to do. I put in the work. I learned this. Now let me go, you know, put it to use in the world. And you know, that was almost a year that was gone. And, you know, fortunately, you know, I was able to get over that. But what if I had never, you know, gotten over that? You know, I wouldn't be a developer. There would be no Code Pioneers.
That's really inspiring. I'm fascinated. How can people continue to follow you and reach out to you even for, be it web development advice, support? How can people follow you on your journey?
Yeah, so outside of the YouTube channel, Code Pioneers, I'm all over social media. We have the Code Pioneers Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter. So my wife is kind of like my social media manager, you know, because I just started out, you know, I want to put some advice on YouTube, and, you know, she came in and said, hey, you need to be on these other, social media channels too. So I'm on all of the social media channels, and we have a website that we're developing right now, coldpioneers.com. So it used to be a website that I used just to like make websites on the side as some like contract work, but we're redesigning it, redeveloping it for some future things.
Right on. Sounds like we gotta bring you back and bring your wife next time too, brother.
Yeah, she like that. Yeah, she does a lot of work behind the scenes that like she maintains that whole live stream. She's the reason why there's new music added all the time. She's responding to all the emails, so she's keeping it up where I don't have time to do everything, because nobody can do everything on their own. So she's a huge part of Cold Pioneers.
Absolutely. What's your wife's name?
Sharon.
Sharon. Shout out to Sharon. Holding that down.
Bring it out. All right. And there you have it, folks. Thank you again, Dion, for joining us here today.
Hey, thank you again for inviting me on. Great talking to you guys.
Awesome. Our pleasure. And thank you always, Carl. It's been a peach as always, brother.
Absolutely, man. I can't wait to tell my kids I interviewed Dion, because they're streaming your stuff online, man. So
yeah, YouTubers are like superheroes to these kids these days.
It is. I'm telling you. And my son is programming now, right? He taught himself to code as well, so he's listening. Trust me, he's going to be watching this podcast for sure.
Nice.
That's awesome. So just in closing, stay cool, everybody. And remember, you can live your life as is, or you can chase a dream of where you want your future to be. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.